Not all of the president's supporters are backing him on the tweets about the Democratic freshman. Joining us now from Long Island, Anthony Scaramucci, an informal advisor who briefly served as White House communications director. And Mooch, you've worked for Donald Trump, you wrote a book about Donald Trump, you've generally defended Donald Trump, and yet you've said that these tweets against the four women are racist. In fact, you said if Trump continues to act like this, okay, maybe we look at him and say, you weren't a racist maybe, but now you're turning into one. It's pretty strong words.
It's a wake-up call, but it's not. Again, it's not just me, and so people can pretend that it's me. You know Washington better than I do, but there's a ton of people inside the Congress that feel the exact same way that are Republicans. There's a ton of donors that feel the exact same way. Now, maybe there are people that don't feel that way, but the president has a 45% approval rating right now, and maybe it's 50. If you break off 5% of that or 8% of that, it's going to be very bad news for the president. In the meantime, he has this unbelievably good economy. You know, I like Hogan Gidley a lot. I think he does a great job of defending the president, but in a case like this, it's actually indefensible. And so I sort of feel bad for him. They're putting him in a position where he's literally making pretzels, like at an Auntie Anne pretzel store inside a shopping mall. Okay, and it's bad for Hogan, it's bad for his reputation, and it's bad for the president's reputation. So
well, you say some Republican members of Congress agree, but with some exceptions, many of them have either deflected or been silent about this whole controversy. What explains that?
It's politics. What explains that is they fear the president, they fear being on the wrong side of him, they fear a possible primary. But this is a right or wrong thing, Howie. It's not an opinion. You don't do that in American history. You don't tell people to go back for where they came from, and you don't sound like that. And I've said this before, and it's worth saying again. If the racists think you're a racist, you should probably change your point of view. He is the president of the United States. We should not be debating whether or not he's a racist. And I'm going to tell you something. You know, people are going to say, no way this will happen. But trust me, he keeps going down this path. A Republican will primary him. Some Republican will step out of the box and say, okay, we have to recast the Republican Party for 2024. It would be a quixotic quest to primary him right now, but it would also send a message to people that we have to re-engineer this party. You cannot divide the country as the president of the United States. So people can be mad at me, or they can be courageous and tell the president the truth and try to help him out, because I still support him. I'd like to see him get reelected, but you can't divide the country in the process of going in that direction.
Well, how much blowback have you gotten from the pro-Trump side? I imagine the president is furious with you. I don't know if this, severs your relationship with him. And I know you've been disinvited from a Republican fundraiser. It doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
Why?
Does not matter to
Why?
me. Why doesn't it matter to me? Because I'm my own guy. You can't have a loyalty test where somebody throws an apple on the floor and tells, hey, you got to tell us it's an orange. You don't want to disavow your personal history or your personal integrity to say something that isn't true. It's ridiculous, okay? These are racist comments, period, full stop. The fact that we even have to debate it means that the president is in trouble on this. So he should continue to walk it back.
You just said you like Donald Trump, I get that, and that you want to see him reelected. So how do you square that with saying that these are racist comments? He hasn't taken them back. He may get primary.
I don't believe that he's a racist. But if you're going to talk in that way, if there's it's in the prompter, Howie, during that North Carolina rally. You're talking in a divisive way, and it elicits a chant like that. It's sending the wrong message to the United States. You do not want to win the second term of your presidency by dividing the United States, okay? It's called United for a reason. You got this unbelievable economy to run on. The squad is, and ultimately, to use his words, is a disaster. Run on what they're saying. Run on what their theology is. You can beat these people, but asking them to go back to their own country, they did that to my grandmother, they did that to my grandfather. Most people do not like that. The people that are going to tell the president the truth are going to look him straight in the face and say, hey, maybe your German grandfather got told that when he arrived here, okay? Well, you just don't do that from the Oval Office or from the office of the presidency. He's the leader of the free world.
Well, since you brought it up,
let me just finish. If people don't like me for saying it, I actually could care less. It doesn't matter to me.
But I was just simply going to ask, do you think the passion you're bringing to this and breaking with a guy who you've worked for and have generally supported is in part because, your grandparents came from Italy, that you come from an immigrant family?
100%. That's what I just said to you. You're not going to disavow your personal story to stay loyal to the president. He throws an apple on the floor, and in order to stay loyal to him, you want to call it an orange? I'm just not going to do that, okay? And by the way, politicians will do that. I get that. But I'm a business person, Howie. I'm running $12 billion of capital or $11 billion of capital. We're trading all day. I trade hundreds of millions of dollars on a handshake. I'm not going to disavow my personal integrity or my personal story to say something that is true, isn't true. We're just not going to do that. By the way,
yeah.
he's fracturing his coalition. There's a very large group of people that are going to break away from him if he continues on that path. And by the way, these are going to be narrow electoral successes one way or another. You don't need to do that. Run on the economy. Run on the progress that you're making in the world.
I've got half a minute. You have said many times, including to me, that you've advised President Trump to soften his attacks on the press. He hasn't taken that advice. Why do you think he might listen to you and others who agree with you now?
I'm not suggesting that he's going to take my advice. I wrote an editorial that the press is not the enemy of the people. It's on thehill.com. He's not going to take my advice. I get that. But the thing is, he likes winning. And so if enough people speak up, he'll change his behavior, and that will be better for America. If he continues on this path, trust me, a large group of Republicans are going to say, okay, you know what? I love the country more than I love my 401k. We're not going to put this thing into a racial divide. I just really believe that, Howie. And you know what? Trust me, there's a lot of people up on that Hill and even people inside that White House that know that I'm saying the truth.
Anthony Scaramucci, not mincing any words. Thanks very much for joining us this Sunday, Mooch.
Good to be here.